the lighting isn't too bad. I don't know, understand this, but when I do it on my other phones, the picture's perfectly lit, but for some reason on this tablet, it's always a little bit too dark. Oh, that's about to make it into a joke, but I'm having to try to gather my thoughts to talk about Adrasdea. I mean, if it wasn't for childish manipulation, she would have no manipulations at all. If she put half the effort into working for weed as she does for begging for weed, she would be buried in the shit. Let me get Chad up. Okay, volume down. I'm not quite used to this device yet. Hello, Let It Go. Hello, Ronnie. Hello, Trish. So it's the old crowd in here. But yes, she's been begging hard, and I've been watching her try to manipulate. And it really is childish. And earlier today, she made a video saying, asking for money, and said, no one gave me money yesterday. And then she said that we'll play some audio here in a little bit when more people are in here, but I'm just kind of recapping it now. And she said she's going to ask for money every day until someone gives her money. So evidently no one gave her money today. So just a couple moments ago, she decided to make another video, and she said, you're all Trump supporters, and that's why you won't give her money. Because she's trying to get someone that hates Trump to give her money. I mean, she's lazy, if not lazier than Rich Life. Hello, Mandy. I mean, seriously. I say, I'm going to play some of her audio here a little later, and, we're going to cut it up literally. So, we're just kind of starting out slow here because no one's expecting me, and I just decided on a whim to go live. I was deciding whether I was going to do this as a video, but I thought, well, you know what? Why don't I just not put it at 18 plus, go live, let it get in the feed, and maybe some new people will come in. Well, yeah, Trish, I mean, now the thing is it's always with her, it's the looks on her face. I mean, she'll get a grin in the corner of her mouth after she says a good one. Now, I mean, she can even cry and get a smile at the same time, just like a petulant little child. So that's why I don't take her fit seriously anymore. Because like that girl I tell everyone that I used to go out with when I was a teenager, that was the same thing with her. She would be happy as shit if she made everyone else miserable. And she literally would be. And that's Adrasdea. She thinks that you're going to feel all this empathy. Everyone's got tragedy in their lives, especially, knowing you guys here, a lot of you, there's always tragedies going on, and, we try not to spotlight on them too much. We try to give condolences and sympathy, but in reality, you're really here to distract yourself from these tragedies in life. Hello, bud. Now, Adrasdea thinks that her tragedies are your tragedies. And that was the same way with Letitia and this new crazy Inman. She made another one today of threatening her ex on how she's just magically going to have all his assets froze, and she's basically going to take everything away from him until she gets what she wants. I mean, that was another bit of crazy, but I thought, that wasn't worth a video. But Adrasdea is determined, and she wants to play with Adonis Paul, but Adonis is on vacation. And yes, Trish, everyone has it worse. You know, that's why I don't actively put up my P.O. box. If someone wants it, I'll put it up. And I might put it up a couple times this year, and that's going to be it. Because everyone has it hard right now. I mean, if I hadn't saved that money for the scooter, I would have been severely starving. Because that's what I've been eating on to make sure that I'm not completely starved to death. And, you know, now I'm down to trading hay for groceries. You know, you bring me $40 in groceries and I'll give you a $50 roll bale of hay. I mean, I can barter some. So, you know, that helps me out a little bit. Hello, Jesus. And that's what I'm going to do. You know, but this is kind of a bit of the point of this live stream. Adrasdea doesn't do anything other than lie and try to manipulate. She was an adult woman and saying, I don't have my grandmother to take care of me anymore. And the reason why I titled this stream what I did, Adrasdea is old enough to run for president now. Yes, Adrasdea is old enough to run for president, yet she still cries that she does not have her grandmother to take care of her. And she also made another video yesterday and say about how irresponsible she is and how she'll spend her food money on weed and then not have any food money. That's your own fault. I mean, you know, I come up with a budget and, you know, when you're 19 to 21, you play with that budget a lot. And many times you do go without because you decided. But, you know, part of that being an adult, by the time you get to that 21, you kind of stop doing that. And you make sure that the hard things are paid for first. Rent. Which her rent is under $30 a month. You know, from the cash assistance she gets, for her rent is less than $30 a month. You know, that's far cheaper than my electric bill. You know, let me figure this up real quick. I mean, my taxes on my property come to more than that. You know, her $30 a month, you know, that she says she has trouble coming up with because, of course, she's spending it on weed. I mean, my property tax is more than $30 a month. And any of you that own a house, I'm sure yours is too. Well, Black Jesus, Adrasdea is new. Now, you see, because of the fact of terms of service. Now, once again, when I had a girlfriend, I didn't have time to keep full terms of service. Full terms of service doesn't want you to focus on one person. That can actually get you into trouble. So I have to focus on several people. So this Adrasdea, and there will be a few new people, and they won't be talked about as much. But when they're relevant, you know, they'll come up and there'll be lives about them because there's whole communities that are going to be interested in them. And we can't just listen to Rich Life say the same bad words over and over again. Just saying. Excuse me. But yes, see, Adrasdea is becoming boy because Jesus, we're converting people. I know you personally will find that very interesting, my friend, but we are converting people. Now, they don't want converted, but our religion in the Boyd does not require them to be cooperative. In fact, the less cooperative they are, the more entertaining it will tend to be for you. So we tried to do this the nice way before. So, you know, we're revitalizing the Boyd, and we're going to do it like, well, a zombie virus. We are going to bite them and turn them into monsters. Just saying. Well, yeah, that some of them do. Now, Letitia, she needs the exorcism. You know, if I actually was going down to... I might do a Halloween's Awards. Because that would be funny and different. And already, if I do the Halloween Award just for fun, you know, the exorcism one will definitely be Letitia. Now, laziest witch might be Adrasdea. But she's kind of got that goblin look going. You know, because normally I don't do anything about appearance. But, you know, I've been thinking about a Grimgoth bit. I'm like, what would Grimgoth think of Adrasdea? And she'll say, what a strange little goblin she is. She's a pot goblin. Okay, I already got it right now. She's a pot goblin. Yes, Adrasdea is nothing more than a pot goblin. You know, you have cave goblins, you have mountain goblins. In this case, you have a pot goblin. And you get a pot goblin when a halfling and a goblin breed together and the child has Down syndrome. Now, I won't put that part, you know, in a bit, but, you know, it's like, that's kind of like Grimgoth Uncensored, because, you know, sometimes some of my bits, you know, I have to, you know, pull them back a little bit, and that's one where, you know, I wouldn't do that one in an actual bit, you know, say Down syndrome. But, you know, when you deal with Adrasdea, that's kind of what you feel like. You know, and she doesn't have it, but, I mean, you know, I had a family member with it, and he would have been far easier to explain something and to get him to understand than Adrasdea. Hello, Rachel. But, you know, like, for example, you know, it's like, Adrasdea likes to watch us. Now, we got a guessing game. Adrasdea, which hand do I have the bud in? If you can guess Adrasdea and type it in chat, you will get a prize. Because we've caught her watching before. But yes, I have a bud in each hand, Adrasdea, and if you can guess which hand the bud is in, I will give you a prize. Hello, hippie. I guess Adrasdea might be making a video or perhaps uploading, because normally she doesn't, you know, pass up a chance for free marijuana, and, you know, she just have to guess the left hand or the right hand. We'll give her a couple more seconds. Dun 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 dun. Well, Adrasdea, it was both. Yes, it was both, because I have more marijuana than I can possibly fit into two hands. And how did I get that, Adrasdea? I didn't beg for it on YouTube. Nope. I earned it. Yes, I did. Right here on the farm, I earned it. And it's rather nice, and I'm kind of damn enjoying it, to be honest with everyone here. I mean, it's good, too. They've been put on what it is. This is Minto Breath. And, you know, and I have an entire gigantic freezer baggie full of Minto Breath. And Adrasdea is wishing in one hand and shitting in the other. Well, it's not built yet, and, you know, it's going to be at a local intersection, and it's just going to be on the other side of the McCoys. You know, when I go to the store, I'll be able to wave at the McCoys. So that will be nice, and they're laying it out now, and, you know, maybe here in a couple months I'll have that right close, maybe 3 months at the worst. Well, Rachel, if you look after she said that towels, she went to her eyes to the side, and that meant if I get towel money, I'm going to spend it on weed. And like I said, one of her videos yesterday, she talked about how she needed to be taken care of because she wasn't responsible. And as I said earlier, we all had that phase when we were teenagers, first getting out in life, that, we didn't do all of our responsibilities. And we learned after going hungry a bit that, we make sure we got the lights on first. We make sure we got that on. And, we make sure we got our water running when we can. And you get all your bills paid and you buy some food. And then you make sure you got enough money to get back and forth to work. And then after that, you can buy the rest of it all in weed if you want. And then you figure out the next day you get paid. You look at how much you have. And you know how much fun you can have. Well, Rachel, that's the thing with her. She is eating at all of these places. If I lived in Somerset, I could get a free lunch every work day of the week. If I was in Somerset, I could get a lunch 5 days a week. Unless there was a holiday. And sometimes, you can get 2 lunches. You can just tell them, I'm very hungry. And, being a bigger person like I am, they'll hand you 2 lunches. And when I used to get into Somerset regularly, I used to pick up a lunch now and then. But that's it, Trish. Why worry about tomorrow when you can grift today? But that's the thing. She's not going hungry. She's going to these food banks and getting the daily lunches. And that's how she's eating. Because, most people will give you money for food. When life was good to me, I would always give anyone money for food. There was multiple times when I was a caster that I would be going to work and it wasn't in the best neighborhood. And there would be people out with signs saying, "We'll work for food," or "I'm starving," or "I have nothing." And I would stop and give them my lunch for the day, and then I'd just have nothing for work. And then when I would get home late at night, I'd heat up the old can of Chef Boyardee ravioli or something. Well, yeah. Well, see, that's where she's claiming anorexia. But see, this is a part of the empathy thing. It's like a little while ago, she's trying to use Donald Trump to get people that hate Trump to get her money. The anorexia thing was to try to get anorexia people to give her money. Because I've known women with anorexia. I've also known women with bulimia. And they are very sympathetic to women with eating disorders. And many of them would gladly give money. But you see, she hit that grift again and again and again and again. And it's no longer paying out. So now today, she's starting "You're all Donald Trump supporters. And that's why you all hate me." Because, once again, she wants to find a Donald Trump hater into giving her money. And that's why we talk about her here. Because if she just wanted to be miserable by herself on her own corner of YouTube. But the thing is she's using things to grift. And the fact of the matter is, she is a murderer. She's an accomplished murderer. They did not charge her. Because, I've been doing a little more research in that. And Mr. Man was a bad guy. And apparently, she has hooked up with kitty diddlers, to use a Dave the Fisherman term, on at least 2 occasions. And the murderer also was a kitty diddler. And that's why they offered her a deal. because by doing this, they got him on murder one, and they got a kitty diddler gone forever. And that's how Adrasdea skated on her accomplice charge. They didn't charge her because they wanted him. But that's what she did. I have different philosophies. There is killing and there is murder. Now, a weak, defenseless person, that is murder. And this woman was special needs. She was in a wheelchair. She couldn't, her cerebral palsy, couldn't even defend herself with her arms. You don't get any more murder than this. And in his testimony, he kept telling, Adrasdea kept badgering me, saying, get rid of her, get rid of her, get rid of her. And eventually, she pushed him until he got rid of her. So, with that in itself, and, I'm going to keep an eye on Adrasdea forever. Everyone else is interested in entertainment, and I'm going to make her entertaining. But, personally, for my thing, just like Rich Life, I want to keep the spotlight on her. Because if she's done this much bad before, she'd do it again. Oh, yes, if you go to Adonis Paul's channel and look at Mayo 1, 2, and 3, you will get a full course on Adrasdea. He broke it up well, and it breaks down into lessons. And it always comes with, she's lazy and she wants to be enabled. And she's 36 now. She's old enough to where she could run for president. Yet, she says she needs taken care of. Because she's too irresponsible to budget her money. But in videos before that and today, she's asking you for money for her to be irresponsible with. And yes, Rachel, she has a free apartment except $30. I think it's $28, $26 or $28, but under $30 for her apartment. No utilities. They're paid into it. She just has to come up with the $20-some. And then, yes, she does get about $200 and something a month. And she can't come up with her $20-some rent. Of course, that should come off the top. Well, Hippie, Al's covered her too. The parody she did the other day, that was of Adrasdea. So now and then when Adrasdea goes extra off, I'm sure Al will be showing it. But, I'm a commentary channel, so I'm like complimentary to these other channels that show clips. For the people that are more deeply invested in the subject. But, we're going to get into some of her audio. Miss Let It Go is here. Get my live down. I know since this is Adrasdea, there's not really going to be as many people in here. Which, it really doesn't matter. I do like small, intimate lives. Now, unfortunately, this device, it's not so quick. So you'll have to just bear with me just a moment. Oh, yes, the cult tactics are strong here. I'd only listen to so far of this. Let me get my volume up.
I made a poll asking how many of my viewers or subscribers are Trump supporters. And it turned out that quite a few of you are, which told me a lot. Unfortunately, it told me that many of you are unreasonable and dangerous. And the reason I think that...
Now, you see this. Once again, she's trying to sound like a political-leaning network. Now, I know my subscribers, and I'm fairly apolitical. In the last election, 42 subscribers voted for me for president. From my other channel of 3,000 and some subscribers. I had 42 subscribers that said they were voting for me, so I voted for myself in the last election. I got 43 votes, and obviously I was cheated out of the presidency, but we won't get into that topic today. Because after all, I got 43 votes.
Is because that's what I've been seeing with Trump supporters. So I was watching some videos earlier, and they were talking about a mother and daughter who have been harassed.
Now, I just make that, it's true though, but I make it as a joke to illustrate that, we're not political here. In drama YouTube, we're 100% apolitical because it's not the place for it. This is a place for entertainment. This is a place for us all to come together. And if we start talking about politics, before long, we will all decide that I should be leader. And then they'll come after us, and we don't want that. So, we're here for fun. That was at Adrasdea.
Badly for working with the election. They did their jobs, but they were...
Now, listen to how she's talking. They were, you remember when you didn't do the book report and you were called up there to give your presentation? And the next time you read the book, but that's not Adrasdea. This is exactly it. Adrasdea is trying to give you a book report when she didn't read the book.
I don't know the word. Defamed by Trump supporters who took this video of them doing their job and said...
Now, the last two presidential election cycles, I did have subscribers voting for me. So, you cannot call me a Trump supporter because I voted for myself along with many subscribers because I should be leader. But that's a personal opinion of this channel.
They're committing a crime. They've got suitcases and they're bringing in these false ballots, and you can even see it right here. You can see it. And the video that they were showing didn't show that at all. But they kept saying you could see them doing it.
Now, you see, once again, this is going pretty far off the reservation to say that we're all evil Trump supporters and give her pot money.
This is them doing this. And even though the video didn't show that at all, their supporters would watch this video and hear them saying, this is what's happening. It's literally a situation of what you're seeing is not what you're seeing. What you're seeing is what I'm telling you you're seeing.
Now see, this has nothing to do with anything. I mean, it's like you and I arguing squirrels chasing. Somewhere down my block, squirrels are chasing each other. Somewhere down your block, squirrels are chasing each other. What it has to do with anything on the internet? Absolutely nothing. As Grimgoth would say, you know what it means? It means absolutely nothing. That's a part of one of the standard Grimgoth bits. There's certain things that are canned response. It's like, do you know what oranges, orangutans, and cheeseburgers have in common? absolutely nothing.
And over time, it becomes harder for these people to understand that even though what they're seeing is not what they're hearing, they still believe what they're hearing because the person that's saying it means a lot to them. And they don't want to believe that that person is lying to them. And so that's why...
If the politician's mouth is moving, it's lying, just say it. It doesn't matter what little initial they have next to their name or what they call God. You know, if the politician's mouth is moving, it's either asking you for money or it's lying to you trying to get money out of you. Just saying.
When people question why people are calling me a murderer, they'll keep referring back to the Mayo videos and saying it proves everything.
We're going to cut her opus off right here because let's go to the Mayo video. Oh, here we go. Mayo. Hot dog commercial. Now, let's...
we meet again. If you're...
let me see. Now, we are on an Adonis Paul video. Mayo, the Adrasdea story, Part 1, Princess of the Gutter. And 2009, it begins with the murder of Roberta Laws. Let's see what Mr. Adonis Paul had to tell us.
Subscribe to the Adonis Paul live channel and you watch late night or day.
And yes, you know, subscribe to the Adonis Paul channel. And he also has a couple other side channels that he does have some content on that is interesting.
Wave Radio or JJ Stoner's D-Live channel. You might be familiar with our subject for today and
You
the
might
latter
be.
part of this tale. If you don't, prepare to spend a couple of hours on a roller coaster ride of pity, anger.
Well, we're not going to spend a couple hours. We are just going to listen to this about Roberta Laws. So we can get this chiseled in stone right here for when Adrasdea starts bringing out this shit.
Feces and laughter that is so unique in the world of horror tales, it goes by only one name. Adrasdea. Adrasdea has not one, but two YouTube channels. Her first, just her name, Adrasdea, which until recently boasted over 1,900 videos of her screaming, being homeless, and documenting her life, which ran the gamut from, oh God, is this the most pitiful thing I've ever seen, to full-on internet lolcow freakouts and reeing at her comments. After she became mildly embarrassed by that recently, she started a new channel, Adrasdea Needs Help, where after some unfortunate run-ins with morning and late-night internet talk...
Yes, Adrasdea needs help. Now, a voice would say that Adrasdea needs help, a swift kick in the ass.
talk shows she retreated to and seems to be a little bit more stable. Strap yourself in, folks, and get ready to embark on a journey into the weird and wild world of a 35-year-old emo homeless runaway. A woman with the emotional stability of a 2-year-old putting her...
Yes, and this was made just over a year ago, so now Adrasdea is 36, and at 35, you can be president.
...self through the worst imaginable circumstances. It's going to be a confusing ping-pong game where your emotions will flail between disgust and sympathy. But before we begin...
I'm big on the disgust. Just saying.
I would like to make a few things clear. Adrasdea claims to have been diagnosed with borderline personality disorder and is on medication for it.
Now, that I do believe, because her attempted manipulations reek of it. She just doesn't do it well. It's like a 2-year-old trying to trick you. You know, you see them trying to giggle out of the corner of their eye as they're crying.
Currently. And I believe she suffered some manner of abuse as a child, as nothing about this psycho gives me the impression that she had a happy, healthy childhood. And her family has recently confirmed that's possible. And I do not believe she murdered Roberto Laws. Whether she was an accomplice to hiding the body and selling her belongings is in the realm of possibility, and we'll get into it shortly.
Now, you know, this is opinion. You know, he don't, but legally, the person that incites the murder is the instigator of the crime and normally goes down for murder 1. But as we stated earlier, you know, he was a diddler and they wanted him gone forever. And they used Adrasdea to make him go away forever. And that in itself is a good thing. But this is how Adrasdea skated.
But I never am going to accuse her of murder. I just can already see some of the criticism I'm going.
Well, once again, you know, we all have our opinions, and you know, under statute, I would be willing to say it. Now, once again, the authorities that be decided it was not in the people's best interest. And these are one of these hard things in life, and in reality, I do agree with the state. It was in the people's best interest to let Adrasdea go to get Mr. X gone for good.
To encounter, and I want to get ahead of it. There are things I find funny, and there are things that horrify me in the videos we're about to watch. Without doubt, I will be making fun of Adrasdea a lot, but there are also things like people touching her and burning her tent, and certainly the conditions we'll see later at the homeless shelter she stayed in that are not okay. And that's the other thing I want to address before we get started. She's a more complicated lolcow than Kimber or Scooby.
Now, you know, everyone's not wrong all the time. And as he mentioned, you know, there are certain things that possibly could be pitied about Adrasdea. But many times, to me, it's how you handle these things. You know, many of you see that, you know, I've been having some hard things, and I'm having a bit of luck, and things are starting to fall a little bit more together for me. But I kept pounding at it a little more every day. What can I do? And even though most things didn't work out for me, you know, things are starting to work out now.
Freaking murder involved in this story. We're going to see firsthand what it's like to live on Skid Row in Los Angeles to disgusting detail. She will be sexually assaulted, physically accosted, multiple times in multiple ways. It's terrible.
Now, like I say, we're only going to go here for the Roberto Laws, but in reality, I think that Mr. Paul does a much better overall intro into Adrasdea than I do, because once again, and I also wanted to jump off to where, you know, we're all not of one mind about Adrasdea. And we don't have to be. And we're more than happy to debate out things that we don't quite see eye to eye with, and, you know, maybe we can get closer together, but on most things, I do believe we will see fairly eye to eye.
On the other hand, Adrasdea is the personality type that refuses to help herself. You will also hear her lie, make terrible excuses to pass up opportunities, whine for help more than anyone you've ever heard in your life, and blame all of her problems on anything and everything but herself. She's like a Salvation Army Santa ringing his bell asking for change, except instead of Santa, it was a middle-aged emo chick, and she kept all the donations for herself to buy gluten-free food. And as will happen when you have a YouTube channel, the internet will find her, and she will handle that about as poorly as you have ever seen in your life. Adrasdea is an absolute shit show, but she...
Now, here we go with my ex-girlfriend I told you about when I was a teenager. You know, she wanted to cry, she wanted pity, She wanted to make everyone miserable. She wanted people to go there. Because she got off on that. And Adrasdea is the same way.
It's a complex shit show. It's okay to feel shocked and even feel pity sometimes and then absolutely hate her guts 2 minutes later. That is...
And he is right, you know. Even though I'm going to be fairly pitiless to her, it is okay if you do feel. Because until I went through all of my research, you know, I did have that is an inclination in spots. But, you know, after I went through all my research and then watching her current attempts at deception shows me she learned nothing. And she's just going to keep this same destructive pattern of behavior and try to manipulate you.
Paradox that is Adrasdea. My intention is not to get her to hurt herself or to hurt her with this video. In fact, stuff like her life in the truck and the tent are kind of interesting. If anything, I wish she would unprivate her old videos. The saddest part of this story to me is that she really could have had the YouTube success she craved so bad. Some of the videos we'll see here are viral in quality. You'll know.
But the thing is, you know, I learned usually if you look long enough, you can find an asset on almost anyone. I used to say anyone, but, you know, after Elvis Travels and Rich Life, I have to now amend that to where I say almost anyone.
Than when you see them, but she can't even work hard enough to make meta tags or even name the videos properly. Instead of fight on LA bus, she names a video, "This is why I walk everywhere." And for every video where she catches some real street shit, there are 50 videos where she is having a complete mental breakdown over nothing. She simply tells so many conflicting stories and accuses so many people of so many things. A record had to be made to get it all straight. Also, this segment might be the most talking I do in the film. I'm taking a back seat on this one to the timeline of insanity that is Adrasdea.
Yes. Now see, Adonis Paul is much more familiar than I am. So this is also why I believe that his opinion needed to be heard, because once again he knows more, and we have some contrasting opinions between mine and him, even though it, for the most part, does line up.
And the last thing I wanted to ask is that nobody go and harass this clearly unstable, mentally fragile...
Yeah, and none of us ever do as creators. Now, we may poke her now and then, because if you're evil, I will poke you. If you're not evil, I won't poke you.
borderline mentally disabled 36-year-old emo lady. No joke you make in her comments will be as funny as the jokes God himself is playing on her currently. In addition, as you will see later on, she absolutely cannot handle criticism. So let's get started with the nexus point of this psycho's life, the murder of Roberta Laws.
There's no better feeling than all-encompassing freedom.
Buy a Jeep!
Where you can go all in.
Okay, now that Jeep's done.
I would like to begin by saying that nobody alive knows for sure what happened when it comes to this brutal killing, except Adrasdea and her ex-fiancé.
Once again, that is true. You know, once again, the ex-boyfriend, the murderer's testimony, you know, was that Adrasdea kept telling him to get rid of her, and at the point where it was badgering him. Constantly. Get rid of her.
Kenneth McBride, who is currently serving a life sentence for the crime. The opinions I include in this description of events are my own, and in no way are accusations of guilt. The state did not charge Adrasdea with any crimes. That is a fact. I will piece these...
And that is a fact. Now, once again, given the evidence that we saw, and what we have talked about here on why they didn't charge her, you know, it was best, because if he went down for murder too, he was going to get out at some point. But going down for murder one, he's gone for good.
story together from news articles and Adrastea's many accounts of it, some of which not only conflict with one another, but many flat out not even making sense. This includes her self-published book, I Will Never Stop Screaming, which is not only a transparent ripoff of the more successful A Child Called It, but is also written like a lazy junior high school book report on it.
Hi, Leah.
With misspellings, quadruple spacing to pad the story out, and absolutely no self-awareness.
Once again, her book is only like 20 to 40 pages, but it's spaced out to where it's only about 15 or 20 pages in reality. And the title, I'll Never Stop Screaming. Why? Because she wants attention. Like that ex-girlfriend I told you, who would never stop screaming. She would never stop crying. Everyone in the world was always upsetting. I would have to listen about her and her parents, and her a 19-year-old girl, and me 16 frickin' years old.
Anyone reading this book will very quickly know they are imbibing a work of fiction. In this book, Adrastea details how she is the most victimized person to ever walk the earth. From a childhood where she was being eaten alive by rats as a baby, to the high school experiences of cutting herself and having leprosy.
Now, this ex-girlfriend that I told you about, you know, I'm 16. You know what else she would do for attention? Fake being assaulted. She would tell me that guys had assaulted her. Physically, you know, the grape. And it was all a lie. Every bit of it. And it took me years. Why would she lie about that? All the pain that it caused. She wanted attention. That's all it came down to. And this is all Adrastea wants. A free ride. How did Maureen used to say that? I have sophisticated tastes. Yeah, that was about the only thing that she would say that wasn't in total tears.
And how literally everyone she has ever known has raped her. She details how her family is a group of inbred abusive pedophiles.
So once again, much like Letitia, it does sound like there was something that happened in her life, but of course we're not going to be able to believe what she says because she's going to try to have made reality so sensational, it's fantastical.
Who are all conspiring to hide the truth. But less interestingly, it also provides an account of the murder of Roberta Laws, as written by a 5-year-old. I wonder why her family is so mad at her. All she did was call them daughter-fucking pedophile white trash and then complain her books didn't sell good enough. According to Adrastea, she fell in love with registered sex offender found guilty of attempted rape of a child under 12, Kenneth McBride, during a whirlwind relationship where she had no idea that he was engaged for the last 10 years to a disabled woman with cerebral palsy.
Yes, he was engaged for 10 years to Roberta with cerebral palsy. And that was Adrastea's boyfriend.
This was Roberta Laws. Now, any normal person would have known something was up, because according to Adrastea, Kenneth would put her up in hotels where he would just drop in from time to time for what I can only imagine to be the most rancid-smelling sexual encounters known to the civilized world. I base this...
Now, we got circle for a minute. But yes, Roberta was attractive, but he was going and planking Adrastea too.
On the fact that Adrastea's vagina has the acidity levels of a wounded xenomorph alien. Again, according to Adrastea, he would take her shopping at jewelry stores and take her to try on wedding gowns, promising to marry her. Wow. I never thought I would consider a life sentence in prison dodging a bullet, but here we are. And then he just broke it off with her. According to her book, she rushed to his house to get the truth, where Roberta answered the door. Kenneth then came outside and talked to Adrastea, telling Roberta that she was a caregiver that he had put an ad out on Craigslist for. Eventually, letting her in where Adrasdea shared a night of making new friends with Roberta. The next day, she got a call saying that they would like to hire Adrasdea as a live-in caretaker for Roberta.
So, at the point Adrasdea finds out that he has a girlfriend, he moves Adrasdea in with them to be her, quote, caregiver. And that way he has both pieces under one roof. I know, after this one, you're going to want a moist towelette.
Adrasdea, because she is an awesome person, accepted this job. As she writes in her book, I figured a job is a job. Showing a work ethic in her
That's in her
fictional tale
book.
you will never see in real life.
Yes, now that is, one of the most important observations in the universe. In her book, she shows a work ethic, a job's a job. And you will never see that pop up in real life.
And then she continued the relationship with Kenneth behind his disabled fiance's back, pretending to be her best friend by day and sleeping with her fiance every time she got the...
Yes, so she was actually ingratiating herself to the woman that did become the victim and became her friend and was sleeping with boyfriend every chance that she got.
Adrasdea, according to not her book, she leaves this part out for obvious reasons, but according to the police report and articles, wanted Roberta gone. The police seized her computers at her Mima's house and found a number of messages telling Kenneth to get rid of Roberta. Now, Adrasdea said...
Now, you see, the police found these messages at Adrastea's device that they got from her, of her repeatedly telling him to get rid of her. Now, see, this is where Mr. Paul and I's opinions, differ. As a jurist, she just showed to me that she is the instigator of this crime and that he was her tool, in my opinion, as a jurist.
She meant put her in a nursing home, but apparently without being that specific.
Now, once again, oh no, I meant put her in a nursing home. Then why do you just say the same thing? Get rid of her, get rid of her, get rid of her. Get rid of her.
And without specifying that, Kenneth apparently never got that part of the message. According to Adrastea's testimony, the following took place...
He got the exact message that she was meaning.
on the night of her birthday. Adrastea's Mima took Kenneth and Adrastea to a...
Now, he committed this murder on Adrastea's birthday. The woman that said, get rid of her, get rid of her, get rid of her. And then he decides to culminate this getting rid of her on Adrastea's birthday. If anyone does not believe as I do, please put a 2 in the chat, and it's fine if you do.
Birthday dinner. But what Ken didn't know was Adrastea is the hobo with the heart of gold, and she wanted to end this sham relationship hours before a murder happened. Which you might be thinking is very convenient, but again, I'm not going...
Yes, I did think that's very convenient for legality that you decided to break up 3 hours before that he killed her. And you told him repeatedly to get rid of her, get rid of her, get rid of her, get rid of her. And he decides to do it on the birthday.
...to accuse her anything in this video.
Now, do you know any girl that breaks up with a guy on their birthday? Let's be real. No. You know, it's like Crystal. She waited until like 4 days after her birthday.
So that night, after treating him to dinner, she told him it's over. Just leave her at Mima's, go back to his house, and go back to his fiancée and forget this ever happened. when Kenneth immediately grabbed her by the arm and whispers in her ear, "If you don't get in the truck, I'm going to kill Meemaw." I'm quoting that from the book.
Now, once again, this is where Adrastea just starts making up things, but, once again, he was a diddler. And Murder 2 didn't get him gone forever. Murder 1 did get him gone forever. So the prosecutor decided the best interest of the people was for Adrastea to skate off in this direction, and Kenneth, you're gone.
They took off in the truck. She claims she tried to jump out, but was threatened with a knife, and they arrived at Kenneth's house, where he tells her to sit in the truck while he goes inside. And if she opens the door, the truck alarm will sound
and I saw a map recently of this place, and there are plenty of houses all over that she could have ran out for help. And once again, he had a knife. He was also severely morbidly obese. I mean, the only one of us that couldn't outrun him is Amberlynn Reed.
You'll be shamed. Now, it's important at this point in the story to go to our Google Maps here and look at where this crime took place. It's about an acre with a small house on it, 100 yards from neighbors on 3 sides next to a road. Adrastea definitely could have bolted when he went inside, especially since she would have a lead on this fat fuck armed only with a knife. But whatever. She's a scared young girl and does what she's told. Besides, apparently if she doesn't cooperate, he will kill her Meemaw. And none of us want that to happen. So she sits in this truck for an hour until Kenneth comes outside and tells her, "I have a gift for you." Because, it's her birthday. Then he brings her inside to...
Now, that's the only thing that I believe. But, once again, she knew going in. And she sat there, and once again, this was her gift for her birthday. And how much do you want to bet this isn't what she asked for, in my opinion?
View the naked, raped, and mutilated body of Roberta Lodds. His disabled...
And that's where we're going to end it. Because I didn't put this at 18 plus. Which, in reality, for the rest of that, I probably should have. But, if you want to hear the rest of it, go to Adonis Paul's channel, and it's Mayo Part 1, and it's the very beginning. But I wanted to get this on record out here to where, when she tries to say that she never killed anyone, we can have our own opinions. Okay, now I'm going to get chat back up and I'll answer any questions I missed. Well, yeah, Jen, no, Coach, he's been doing it all over. And I went to Coach last night, and I told him, "Fuck you, you son of a bitch. I ain't calling anyone." And then he threatened me. And honestly, if I have any trouble, I'm going to go to Coach's mother's house. Honestly, if Coach causes me any trouble, I'm going to go to his fucking mother's house. Straight to it. And that's my position. But, anyone that believes Carlos is a fucking moron. And this is why a lot of the Boit ain't welcome in here no more. Most of the Boit that wants to socialize is. But, the people that just want to be an ass or stir up trouble are not welcome here. Because particularly in reality, the Boit is dead. I mean, it doesn't interact with each other. In any manner, really. It's dead. Rosie O'Kelly's really not Boit no more. Holly and me were the only people bringing new people into the Boit. And you see, the reality is, I don't need the Boit. Holly don't need the Boit. Now, the boy does need me and Holly. But, there's Bergs, there's Noodles, and, anything worth listening to or interesting? Is it going to bring you any entertainment? No. The last time I bothered to put on a Mark Terry's channel, he's just staring at the screen, trying to get people to give him money or something. Fuck that shit. Boyd is no content. Boyd is dead. I am just nice in keeping a corpse alive a little bit. But in reality, I don't mean this to sound aggrandizing, but, in reality, the Boyd has been running around me for a while. The point that Chris Life was actually having his lives, and the only time he was getting actual numbers was it when Melissa Nada was badgering me. So, I noticed that then. And I just kept my mouth shut, and, because, people can do what they want. But yeah, in reality, it's been dead for a while. It's brain dead, definitely. It's been brain dead for a long time. But, at some point, its bodily death is going to happen, because I don't want to go to any of these people's chats and talk. And there's even a fake account or two of me that gets around it, goes to these chats, and it ain't me. Well, he's just a Boyd troll, and he goes around and lies, doing things like telling people YouTubers died. And, he tries to get people hurt. And if Coates starts going and false reporting me, I'll go right after Coates, physically and legally. And because my ex-girlfriend tried this already once, there's a flag on my account to where when anyone calls on it, they're going to find out exactly who it is. Because there's been people trying to do this before. And if he wants to try it, he's got a pretty good chance of getting a federal charge. Not for me. But because of other people trying this, it ain't the first time. And I've had long talks with the government and Social Security. And there's a flag on my account. And anyone that tries to, could find themselves indicted by a federal prosecutor. And I'd love to see Coates in federal fucking jail. I would. That would be funny. His little ass, in there with the professional criminals. That would be funny. But no, I am more than willing, because see, I've been heavily abused on YouTube, and I'm more than happy at this point to pound the crap out of somebody. In fact, I have decided that the first mouthy person that wants to get into my orbit, I'm going to make a special example out of them. But that's just my personal opinion on this. Well, it's like, Coates comes out about my nipple. Can you imagine how well he would do at an actual jail? And I know where Coates' mommy lives. So, that's number one place where I could easily track him down at. Because, once again, he wasn't completely careful. In fact, in the Boyd, I've probably got about 65 to 70% of everyone's private information. And it all sits over here in a binder. Because you see, now it isn't this binder. Because you see, Roger keeps notes. And you don't see it in this room, but there's 1, 2, 3 bookshelves full of these. like I say, I keep extensive notes. And once again, Coach has made enough mistakes to where, I know where his mommy lives. And at this point, I would be more than happy to show up on any YouTuber that wants to fuck with me. Anyone that wants to go round and round with me, I'll be more than happy to show up on them. And as long as I leave these devices here, nothing ever knows I left Kentucky. But, we'll digress about that. And Carlos is only mad because he's blocked here. Because, once again, he was going around saying shit like, I was molested by my father. Which I wasn't. I was never molested. But that's the kind of things that he wants to go around and say and incite. He wants to try to cause trouble and he thinks it's funny. And that is what killed the Boyd. If you want honesty, that is the shit that killed the Boyd. What Carlos did, what the shit Noodles does, and Anderson Henderson, and Camilo, they all killed the Boyd. By all this fake bullshit of faking deaths and bullshit like that made people say, fuck this garbage. I don't blame them. We're picking up here and we're moving on. Hello, Southern Sweet Angel. So, this is the status of the Boyd. I mean, it's shit, it's nothing. I mean, literally, it's nothing at this point. There's nothing for me to salvage. It's just a cute little tag that I can keep using. And as we drag these new lolcows, we're basically adopting the name. In reality, we are. You see, that's why I am, said a little while ago, the Boyd is basically in the orbit of me. If I want to sound a little more arrogant, I am the Boyd. Because we're going to be bringing new people in to talk about, and Bergs can go over there and say, give me money, and Mark Terry can say, give me money, and Anderson Henderson can say whatever it is that Anderson Henderson's saying, and Noodles can say the N-word about 50 more times to try to shock people. But that's the shit that drove people away from the Boyd. They thought they were being cute. They thought it was funny, but they kept stabbing it until it's dead. Well, hello, Claudia. I hope you're well. Well, things are well enough here. I'm doing better. But, I play very seriously. Because I'm not putting up with anyone's bullshit. No, I'm not. And especially with these little turds that think they're someone. Because I'm more than willing to scrap with anyone. Just saying. And they're both, for the most part, a bunch of keyboard warriors. And those that aren't keyboard warriors are keyboard warrior wannabes. And there also are some nice ladies. In all actuality, there are some nice ladies in the Boyd. But there also was some positive content. People didn't want it. Jesse made a nice music program. Wonderful. People wanted to false flag his channel because of Rich Life. Coachisms made a very nice wrestling program. A place to try to bring everyone together. And I go over there and Carlos does nothing but try to harass me in the chat, and the mods would sit there and do nothing. So I don't even go there most of the time now. And I used to go to every Friday. Now it's basically, if I feel like doing something else, I go do it. And that's how I can say for sure the Boyd's dead. There's nothing here interesting. There's nothing that interests me anymore. So it's just a cute tag that we can draw new people in with and, have our entertainment. And we can create a new Boyd. And they can scream that they're OGs all they want, but they're still just grifting for the most part of them, getting their channels canceled. And, you know, Coates has only got about less than 100 new subscribers in about 2.5 years. And he hides all of his content. And that's another thing, you know, when you hide your content, you're not going to grow your channel. Just saying, ever. Well, hippie, see, where I am, I can't be swatted. They won't come. You can call and tell them that I'm blah-blahing all you want, and no one's ever coming. See, that's another thing that pisses them off. I'm unswattable. They will never, ever respond to that out here. And I'm probably 6 miles out of pizza delivery range. I mean, you can't even order me a pizza. I'm disabled. My family are all dead. So, doesn't really leave them much for them to work with now, does it? You know, I'm completely insulated from their fuckery. And I have found, you know, being honest is the best. And the flat out matter is before I go to the law, I'm going to beat the holy hell out of someone. And as I said, the next person that I can get into the orbit of me that is a complete shithole, I am going to make a specific example out of them in my own special way. Now, you see, and the last time that I said that, I was 50 years old. And I said that down at the McCoys. Because there was a few of them down there that were getting too fucking mouthy with me and wasn't keeping their place. And then Stanley, a 20-year-old, about 6'2", 6'3", about 350 pounds, decided to jump me, and I choked the motherfucker out with one fucking hand. And after that, they got scared of me. And that's a true story. You know, that, because, you know, where Shannon was saying, your neighbors won't help you. Well, yeah, after I choked the fuck out of big-ass Stanley, that scared the living hell out of him. I mean, I fucking Darth Vader'd his big ass. You know, I'm leaning with my back up. I've got him, you know, choking fucking up with his, up on his fucking, the top of his fucking toes. And I'm looking him right in the eye, just like I am right now, and I'm talking right in this tone as I'm choking him. And it is hard to choke someone out with one hand. You know, it's not easy. You know, it took about 10 fucking minutes of me choking him with one hand, and him with his feet up, he couldn't get in, and him flailing at me, hitting me. Which you can hit me all day, it's not going to bother me. And yeah, and then after that, the McCoys got scared of me, and Angie said I'm not to come on the property anymore because that was going to be her prospective son-in-law. And apparently after he got his ass whipped, you know, her daughter dumped him. And that was the end of Stanley. But, you know, after I choked Stanley out, I mean, he's a monster compared to me in size, and he was threatening to get a baseball bat. You know you've scared someone when. But earlier that day, he attacked Kevin McCoy. And him and Kevin McCoy had a fight. And Kevin is a tough guy. You know, Kevin McCoy is a tough man. And he got a little better of Kevin. And I guess, you know, he got full of himself, and then he thought he was going to try me. And at 50 years old, and him 20 years old, I choked the fucker out and humiliated the hell out of him. But, you know, these people don't understand what they're dealing with. You know, I lived a hard life. You know, when I was a small child, my father used to take his fist and ball it up like this and just boom right across my head. My head actually moves a centimeter further this way than it does this way. You might be able to see it. But it does that because that was the side that my dad, as a small child, would hit me with. It'd just be boom right across the head, and my head would jerk back like there. Like I say, he permanently fucked up my neck for my whole life. But because as a child I had to stand there and, you know, take the big fist, you know, adult man fist, it's nothing. Because, you know, I didn't even come up to his waist, and I was having to take his full blows. So, you know, as an adult man can hit me, and it just, I don't even feel it. But, you know, that's a part of my PTSD, because it's also another, that and the gallbladder is why I don't experience pain like you do. You know, I only feel 8, 9, and 10. I can be seriously hurt and not know it. Now, I guess this has been about 2.5 years ago, but my leg was hurt. And I was going up a little hill, and I fell down. And I'm like, what the fuck? And I stood up, and I fell down again. And I stood up, and I fell down again. And I'm like, what the fuck? And then Kelsey helped me up. You know, she was a large girl, got under my arm, and, you know, helped me over to the steps. And it turned out my leg was injured. I didn't know it. You know, I just know that every time I tried to put my weight on it, it would just fall right out from under me. And it was hurt, but it didn't reach that pain threshold that I felt it. Well, good night, hippie. Well, we're done with the important stuff now, and in reality, I'm probably going to go in about another 20 minutes myself. But, you know, but once again, to go back to our original topic, you know, Adrasdea, you know, she had childhood abuse. And, you know, obviously, you know, according to my story, I had childhood abuse too. But I don't let it define me. Now, I live with the effects of it all the time, but I don't let it define me. Now, it did develop me into what I am, but I don't let it define me, you know, and I only mention this right now because it's an illustrative point. You know, we've all had bad things, and I guarantee out of the 20 people in chat, there's a lot of bad things that happened to many of you that's probably a lot worse than what happened to me. You know, we all have our struggles. But Adrasdea wants to be taken care of and wants to lie to do it. You know, she is basically the queen of bipolar disorder. Not bipolar, but borderline personality disorder. Well, I'm getting kind of sleepy. I just realized that too. That's why I was saying I'm not going to be on that longer. Because I'm starting to feel, you know, the coming on. And, you know, I'm not feeling at 100% mentally here. But yeah, Trish. You know, anybody, if you're not using it as a crutch, you can have my sympathy. But, you know, when you try to make it out that your life is over and you can't fart, you know, on your own, you know, you're definitely trying to use it as a crutch. Now, another one of the stories that I'm going to tell before I go. Now, I started having seizures in 2015. Bad. I mean, hours worth of time every day. I was so physically whipped, I couldn't take care of myself. There was no one here to take care of me. I mean, I was on my own. And there was a winter that, you know, I had to live a lot of in my own filth. Because I couldn't stand. You know, that's how bad it was. You know, I couldn't stand. I could lean over the couch and vomit. There was like 2 months I could only keep down milk. And ever since then, milk has tasted so good to me, you will not believe it. It's like nectar to me. You know, I could just sit down and drink a gallon of it. But, you know, in the barn, you know, there was a large change of lifestyle. Well, Chella's outside. All of them are outside. This time of year, it's hotter in the house. So, yes, they're all outside. And you know, since Let It Go Once You Know Where Rich Ellie is, yes, they're all outside. And the hay was all baled today. So, all of my fields are clean. It's like one giant cut grass. And they are in it playing. And they are running across that field. And they have been running over each other. I mean, literally running, you know, that whole one cat be here, one runs across the field, and then boom, 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 boom. And that's what they were doing before I started my live. And as soon as I get off here, it's dark now, I'm going to go out there and check on them. But I would say, considering all the play they've been doing, I would say they're all asleep right now in the coolest spot that they can find. But yeah, all the kitties, for the most part, are all outside. And some of my older boys, now that the hay's cut, they'll wander away for a few days. Attila does that all the time. The last 2 years, he has disappeared to where I was worried to death, not seeing for 5 or 6 days. And then he would show up and look like he's not missed a meal, because he was going and hunting. So I'm sure that's what my Attila is going to do right now. He's going to slip down to the woods and he's going to hunt down there. Well, I've got over a dozen cats here of my own, and there's a feral colony that's not mine, and they all hang out together. And now, see, this time of year, I can't keep Summer in all the time. So for the next 2 months, Summer has a chance of getting knocked up. Now, if I could find a way to get to the vet, you know, I would get her fixed now. But, you know, that's kind of one of my personal things. You know, to try to get some hay got rid of. And see if I can get a way to get her to the vet before she gets knocked up again. But, you know, that's one of my personal to-dos. And once again, I'm only mentioning that because, you know, I actually have a whole list of personal to-dos. But, you know, every adult, by the time you're 36, has a list of adult to-dos. And, you know, this is one of mine. You know, I can't keep Summer in during this time of the heat. So, you know, I got to try to see if I can get her fixed as soon as I can. Well, here, my problem is transportation. But I have none. And I can't get no one to take me to town to help me. I can't get no one to take me to a grocery store. I have to walk to a dollar store. But, you know, once again, even though I have failed again and again at this, I am going to try again to get away there and back and try to get Summer fixed. And I have a guy that's going to come and talk to me about some hay in a day and a half. And we will trade. Because you see, that's one reason why I never monetize my other YouTube channel. Because, you know, the threshold that I'm allowed, you know, I have hay. And I keep within my threshold. Well, here, hippie, I'm in the middle of nowhere. I'm on 20 acres by myself. I could sit here and scream bloody murder for help all I want, and help is never coming. Just saying. And I'm only making that as a joke because of Adrasdea. Because, you know, that's her thing. And I have been helped. I mean, where is it? Like my shoes right here. These shoes, a subscriber bought me these shoes. You know, when I went to my P.O. box last, you know, these were a gift from a subscriber. You know, and it greatly helped me. But, you know, a subscriber gave me a gift to help myself. And I greatly appreciate it. And, you know, that's why we're talking about it. You know, people do deserve help. But Adrastea's not getting useful help. You notice how she wanted money for a towel. You notice she didn't say, send me a towel. Now, another YouTuber, another creator, you know, she sent me a flat of ramen. She sent me a bunch of light bulbs. And that was extremely useful because, you know, light bulbs are a hard thing for me to carry in my pack. And, you know, for an extra couple weeks, she gave me an extra meal, you know, and she gave me an item that I need that was hard to carry. You know, that was greatly appreciated. So, you know, these are two things that I've gotten in the last year, you know, that wasn't a monetary donation, but, you know, they mean a lot to me. You know, a couple years ago, Michigan lady sent me a solar-powered light. And it's a battery charger, too. And I've used it on YouTube, and if I have to walk at night, it gives me a perfect light that I can walk safely. Hello, Robin. Well, I can understand how that could happen. You know, when I had my ex-girlfriend, I did slip off to Philadelphia a couple times, and you guys didn't know it. You know, that's where I kind of, you know, laugh at, you know, a lot of the dumbasses on YouTube, some of the creators that run their mouth about me. I mean, I slipped off to Philadelphia twice, and none of you knew it. I mean, one time I spent like 8 or 9 days in a hotel in Philadelphia. And, you know, I said, and you guys never knew it at the time. Hello, Monica. Hope you're doing well, Blakes. We're kind of just on the bullshit talking because I'm going to go here in a few minutes because we're almost at an hour and a half. And I wanted to go to about that so it has some replay value because I wanted to make a part of this live to be an Adrasdea receipt. So that way when she starts talking about the murder of Roberta Laws, we're all on the same page, and I can also refer other people that will ask about it back to this live. That is also one of the reasons why I gave it a memorable title, because I will remember on which live it was in. Well, Hippie, you'll see some of the Boyd and us fighting here, and just don't worry about that. I entertain them. Now, you see, now because of my abuse, you know, I have 6 distinct ego states. It's not a multiple personality, and we all have ego states. It's just mine are distinct. And I have 6 of them. And because of that abuse, my main one shut down as a child, and I have 5 other ego states that basically run things. And you'll notice fluctuations in my personality now and then. And that will be why. And I'm going to do, and I only mention it because I'm going to do some videos on it. Because we do have some new changes. And one that I'm really happy about is my demographics. You see, on my 3,000 subscriber channel, my subscribers were 90% female and mostly wanted Amberlynn Reed content. Yeah. And on this one, it's almost 50-50. Just slightly more girls than boys. So, you know, now, I am going to be doing some general lives where we're just going to bullshit. But, you know, I wanted to get some information out on Adrasdea because, once again, she's trying to use Trump hate to get her money to get weed when all she does is, you know, she can, I mean, look at that. I mean, I got weed from like here all the way back to here. I mean, the whole length of my arm. Could you imagine the joint I could roll with this? I mean, Cheech and Chong would be jealous of me. But, you know, I traded hay for it. And I did something. Now, I bought this place when I was 28. And it still brings me dividends. The farm pays for itself. It supports itself in taxes and somewhat in upkeep. And now, eventually, it should pay for everything, farm-wise. You know, the farm breaks even. But, you know, it's like right now, I have a little bit of a windfall. And I've basically, you know, got to stop. Because I have seizures, you know, that's the only thing that stops my seizures. So I've got a little bit of a stockpile of what is, for me, medication. Now, you don't see me smoking out. Matter of fact, I've taken like 2 hits off of this during this live. And for my medication, that's all I do. You know, what you saw me hit during this live, maybe 2 hits, that's typically what I would do in an hour and a half time. You know, now I'm kind of about, you know, ready to hit it again. But, you know, that's what I'm doing. You know, I'm just feeling it a little bit. You know, when I do hit it. You know, I'm not just sitting down and vegetating out on it. And that's what Letitia, it's like, for medicinal use, that's what you're doing. It's just what I'm doing. Just to hit here. Just to hit there. Now, if someone comes over and, quote, wants to smoke a joint, you know, I'll sit down at that point and smoke one like everyone else does, you know, 1 hit after another until it's gone. And, you know, and when it does, yes, I do get high, you know, when I do that, but I don't do that often. Well, Trish, you are right. Adrasdea chases her highs, medicating her lies, because she has to live with herself. And I have to live with myself, too. And there are things that I question myself about, you know, in life. And that is responsible. Because once again, you're your own keeper. You also are your own moral compass. And Adrasdea doesn't have one of those either. Now, the way that YouTube's been setting things up, I will set this live to public. Now, it's many times has been taking YouTube a few minutes to get it back up. Sometimes it's taken them an hour or two, because people sometimes have been messaging me, it's like, where's the live? And I'm like, you don't see it? And then look up and find out that YouTube just didn't process it yet. So, you know, anyone that missed anything that wants to go back, this will be up. But, you know, I basically wanted to get what Adrasdea had to say and the death of Roberto Laws on record on this channel. And, you know, we listened to what Adonis Paul had to say, and me, you know, and we showed how my opinion and his differs a little bit, and it's fine if your opinion differs too. And we'll discuss that on a different day. But, you know, to be honest, I'm going to have a snack. I got some chips and dips here. You know, this is ice cold, and I'm going to sit down, and I'm going to hit this about 3 times in a row. And then I'm going to, after that, I'm going to wind down from it, and then I'm going to go to bed. And then I'm going to get up early, and then I'm going to start doing my chores. And I'll do dishes, I'll do some laundry outside in a tub, and I'll take a bath myself, you know, out there on the deck. And, you know, Adrasdea needs to do something else too, rather than beg for pot, pray for death, and play Mario. Now that kind of sounds like a movie. Beg for pot, pray for death, and play Mario. I think I'll make that a live title. They might make me private that one, because YouTube's been a dick like that lately. but I'm willing to take that risk. Now, everyone, have a good night, and thank you for coming.